Hi, this is a test electronics instructional video on how to tighten and align your test fixture. So the very first thing you want to do when you get this fixture is tighten the back side of the hinge, because if this isn't tight, then none of the adjusting and aligning is going to hold in place. So these are adjusted with a number 1 screwdriver, and what we do, you can just check it with a little handled screwdriver like this. Don't use a big handled one. Just something small like this. This has a big handle, but it's a torque screwdriver. So we're going to set this, we need a number 1 bit, and we're going to set this to 5 inch-pounds. Okay, so now what we do is go through and just tighten all these screws. Now, like I said, you don't have to have a torque screwdriver to do this. Just tighten it down good and snug. Make sure none of this moves. This can loosen in shipping, not due to vibration, but due to shifting in the sheet metal if the fixture has a heavy impact. There's good tension in sheet metal, spring tension, that keeps the screw under tension so that it won't vibrate loose, just like the way a lock washer works. You don't want to put Loctite or something like that in there, because then if the sheet metal shifts, it still appears tight. Now the next thing you want to do is remove this red part here, this red latch cover. And it just pulls off like that. The reason you want to do that first or second after doing that, is because if this is all loose, you'll scratch it all up. So we don't want to scratch our customers' test fixtures. Now the rest of these screws use a number 2. This was number 1, this is number 2 tip. And we'll just loosen it up. And actually, I'm going to use, for taking things apart, it's faster just to use a regular manual screwdriver. So this just lifts this straight up, and this pulls right out, just like that. Then we want to take these out, still the number 2 tip. And I like to take it apart and put it together in a crisscross fashion, just because the sheet metal kind of flexes up as you take it apart, and things come apart better that way. It's more even. And actually, when you put it together, you want to finger tighten it and then do a final tight in the crisscross fashion. Taking it apart doesn't matter so much. Okay, so we'll lift the cover off, and here we now have everything accessible for alignment. Now, the way you align it is put a circuit board in. It'd be best if I could put all 6 circuit boards in, but I only have 1 sample. So we'll put that sample right in the middle at the very end, because that's the point where it's going to be the most off if it is out of alignment, and it's not out of alignment. But that's okay. We will pretend that it's out of alignment. I'll take this circuit board out, and we will loosen it up in preparation for alignment. And I'll show you how this works. Basically, the only thing that you need to worry about to align it are these 5 screws right here. These 5 on the other side of the hinge need to be tight so that the change you make here doesn't get lost. And these are the only screws you need to align it. So you loosen these up, and what that does is basically you have your hinge right here, and if you can see, this bar here squeezes the hinge between this and the press plate, and the hinge has a big hole in it, so there's plenty of adjustment, and there's press-in fasteners on the other side of this bar. So nothing that can vibrate loose like nuts or anything like that. It's all neatly done with press-in fasteners. So now we will slowly press this down. Now that you can see, I can align it to any position I want very easily. Now the pin right here actually puts it in a very close position to final alignment. But in order to get absolute final alignment, you want to put your circuit board in. Bring it down very slowly so you don't catch anything, and then just look straight down at it, view it straight down, and make sure all the components the edge of the hole, the cutout, is spaced equally through all the components. And another thing to look for too is the tooling pin is centered inside the tooling pin relief hole. So we'll do that, and I'll bring it down and adjust it in. Then I'm going to tighten down 2 screws. Here. Actually, let me get this straight too. You can pretty much straighten this up, and then we're going to assume that all these are straight for now. But I'm going to test it. So I'm going to now tighten that, tighten this. So I just tightened these 2 screws. These are still loose. Now I'm going to make sure that it is in alignment, and if it's not, I'll be able to easily loosen those screws up and adjust it. Okay. Yeah. Then you just want to look at it and verify it. Yep, that's in alignment. Now I want to also verify this one. Now, like I said, if you have 6 boards, you can do this all at the same time. It makes it a little easier. And I want to verify this one. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to put it on this one right here, verify it, and show you again that you want clearance in this edge and this edge. There's not many components on this edge, but you can see where this is centered, and then this edge. So that's all set. Now it's all in alignment. I will now go through and tighten these back screws, the remaining 3 back screws. Good and snug, and then I will go through and torque them just to make sure that I do have them snug to spec. But that's just because we don't want it loosening up and shipping, or we want to limit any loosening. Now, like I said, this is all held down by the spring tension of sheet metal. No need for Loctite. Loctite can actually make it look like it's tight when it's not. So it's not such a good thing, Loctite, for this application. Okay, the next thing that we might want to do, now you will probably never need to do this, but I'm going to adjust these press downs, or just verify that they're set right. And these are balancing press downs. What they do is, if the pins are off centered, this is very even. We got 6 boards all evenly spaced, but sometimes on some fixtures there might be more pins here than here, and it's uneven forces, and it could cause this to bend and this to sag. So what we have are these leveling pins, leveling screws, and basically all they need to be is just turned down to touch. So as soon as they touch, lock this down, same with this one, turn it until it touches the bed of nails plate underneath, and then lock it down. And I'm just going to lock it very lightly because the screws will turn. And then what we'll do is we'll grab it by the other side with a screwdriver, hold it in place, and lock it down tight. I'll put in, no, you need a bigger head. Number 2 is what we need for that. These screws are so big that you could use almost an unlimited amount of torque. So that's not an issue, torque on those. You just want to tighten them down good. I was just verifying that they were even. And go through and tighten it down really good. Really nice and snug here. Okay. Now that finalizes the alignment. Now all we have to do is put it back together again. And so the first thing we want to do is put this shield back on. Lift this straight up so that the shield can go on. Now the way to do this, set it on. Make sure it's all going down nice. And then we'll put the screws in. Using a number 2 tip on the bit. There we go. Now this can interfere a little with this, so just kind of push it in place. Sheet metal has a bit of springiness, and you always have to put a little force because that provides a nice tension and snugness for everything, so that there's a nice fit between all the parts and less RF signal leakage through the cracks, because the cracks are small. So now what we do is we finger tighten all the screws, and then we can go and do a final tightening in a crisscross fashion, just like that. Now these screws are a little bigger. The setting for these that we use is 8" pounds. I'll dial that in here. And then we'll go through and tighten these. Make sure that I have everything tightened to spec so nothing vibrates loose. And then the final thing is to put the lever latch cover on. And now you want to make sure this goes all the way down, and don't overlap it like this and then expect the screws to pull it down. You could damage the shield cover. So push it all the way down like that. It should fall all the way down on top of those screws really well, and then you can put your screws in. And let's see. Put a number 2 bit in and tighten that down. I could have just went through and hand tightened everything and then went and done it finally with the right torque, and I wouldn't have to be switching these bits in and out. But we'll get it. Okay. All torqued down to spec, and we'll put this in. Make sure that don't push it in too far. There we go, that's about right. Another thing I'm looking for too is to lift it and then to make sure that it doesn't go up too hard, too fast. So there it is. That concludes the tutorial on how to adjust, tighten and adjust and align a test fixture. If you have any questions, give me a call. There's more information on testelectronics.com. Thanks for watching.